Ago. Ghana, your beloved country, is free forever. That new African is ready to fight his own battle and show that after all, the black man is capable of managing his own affairs.
Long before modern Gollywood, before streaming platforms, before the era of digital cameras, Ghana already had a film that captured the heart of a nation. A story about love, pride, family warnings, and a mistake that many people could relate to. A movie that would become one of the most famous films in Ghanaian history. Its title was simple, but its message was powerful. I Told You So. Released in 1970, this legendary film blended comedy, tradition, and social lessons into a story that Ghanaians would remember for generations. But the real story behind this film is even more fascinating. To understand how I Told You So became a cultural classic, we must travel back to the early days of Ghana's entertainment industry. Before Ghana had a real movie industry, entertainment came to the people in a very different form. It was called concert party theater. Across towns and villages in the Gold Coast, traveling theater groups performed comedy shows, music, and drama on simple stages. These performances were loud, energetic, and hilarious. The actors exaggerated their characters, the jokes were sharp, and the stories often carried strong moral lessons. Concert party theater became one of the most popular forms of entertainment in Ghana from the 1940s to the 1960s. And among all the performers, one man stood above the rest: Bob Cole. Bob Cole was a comedian, actor, and playwright whose performances drew massive crowds. His humor reflected everyday Ghanaian life, family problems, marriage, money, and social pressure. One of his most famous stage plays carried a simple but unforgettable title: I Told You So. By the late 1960s, Ghana's young nation was beginning to develop its own film industry. The government-supported Ghana Film Industry Corporation was encouraging local storytelling on film. A new generation of filmmakers wanted to bring Ghanaian culture to the big screen. Among them was a pioneering director, Egbert Ajesu. Ajesu believed that Ghanaian stories should be told by Ghanaians, not by foreign filmmakers. He looked to the popular concert party plays that already had huge audiences, and one story stood out: Bob Cole's stage comedy, I Told You So. Ajesu decided to transform the play into a full-length movie. The goal was simple: capture the humor, the culture, and the moral lesson that had already made the play famous. In 1970, the film version was finally released, and Ghanaian cinema would never be the same again. At the center of the movie was a powerful and relatable story. A father tries to warn his daughter about the dangers of chasing wealth and appearances,
But like many young people, she refuses to listen. She chooses to marry a wealthy and mysterious man, ignoring her father's warnings. At first, everything seems perfect. The man is rich, he is respected, and the marriage appears successful. But slowly, the truth begins to emerge. The wealthy husband is not what he seems. Behind the luxury lies a dangerous secret. He is actually a criminal, an armed robber hiding behind wealth and charm. When the truth finally explodes into the open, the father can only say one thing, a line that would become legendary in Ghanaian culture. "I told you so." The audience laughed, but they also understood the message. The film was not just comedy. It was a warning about greed, deception, and ignoring wise advice. One of the biggest reasons for the movie's success was its cast. Leading the film was the legendary comedian himself, Bob Cole. His performance brought the spirit of concert party theater directly onto the screen. Alongside him was another powerful performer, Margaret Quenu. Margaret Quenu was known for her strong comedic presence and unforgettable stage personality. Together with actors like Kwaku Cranston, they created characters that felt authentic and familiar to Ghanaian audiences. The dialogue mixed English with Akan languages. The humor reflected real family situations, and the storytelling felt unmistakably Ghanaian. For audiences in 1970, it was like seeing their own lives on the big screen. I Told You So quickly became one of the most beloved films in Ghana. People quoted the lines, families laughed at the jokes, and the story's lesson stayed with audiences long after the movie ended. The film succeeded because it combined three powerful elements: traditional Ghanaian theater, modern filmmaking, and a moral message that everyone understood. For many years, the movie was repeatedly shown on Ghanaian television, especially during national celebrations. It became part of Ghana's cultural memory. Even today, older generations still remember watching the film when they were young, and its story continues to be performed in theater productions across the country. More than 50 years later, the phrase, "I told you so," still reminds many Ghanaians of this legendary movie.
The history of Ghanaian cinema is filled with many important films, but few have had the lasting cultural impact of I Told You So. It was more than a movie. It was a bridge between stage theater and cinema, a reflection of Ghanaian society, and proof that local stories could become timeless classics. From the concert party stages of the Gold Coast to the cinema screens of independent Ghana, the story continues to echo across generations. And somewhere in that story, a father's simple warning still rings true. Sometimes, the people who warn us are the ones who see the truth first. And when everything falls apart, all they can say is, "I told you so." This has been Gold Coast History TV, uncovering the forgotten stories of Ghana's past. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, subscribe, and join us for more hidden histories from the Gold Coast.